It's a great pleasure to be here, and I'm very eager to serve everyone on how to use fear in business to our advantage. Okay. Long story short about me, in just a few seconds, I am a fear specialist and I work with entrepreneurs and their teams on conquering fear in business and also stress, because we tend to be a bit stressed these days and we think it's normal. I'm here to give you a whole new perspective on it, which you are going to find out in just a few seconds. What I want us to talk about today mostly is about accepting our emotions, accepting our fears, and using them so that we can have the success that we truly want. And what we need to do first is understand how fear works. Most of the times we think that, I don't want to share my emotions in business. I don't want to talk about me being stressed or fearful when it comes to the business area because maybe my employees, my colleagues, my business partners are going to think that I am weak, that I'm not trustworthy, I'm not reliable if I say that I am afraid. However, the second point I'm going to talk about today is a bit about how fear affects our health. Because why I'm here is the fact that I had a heart disease around 10 years ago. I was employed, I had a manager position, I had 10 people, I had freelancers coordinating everything. I felt so stressed that I had a heart disease. It was mostly because I was too afraid to talk to people about it. So I'm here to give you an example of how not to handle your fears. That's why the meta health of our talk today is going to be very interesting for you. And also, I'm going to give you in about 8 minutes some practical tools that you can really use today, now, on the spot, something very simple. Because what I did is to simplify everything that is concerning the neurolinguistic programming that I am working with. Okay. The first thing that I want you to remember is that fear is normal, it's a part of us. It keeps us safe, but it doesn't want us to thrive. That's why many times when we are about to make a really important decision, our mind thinks, well, if things were okay before, if you were alive before, you want to make this change, you want to maybe hire a new person, you maybe want to change the setting in your office. This is new. This could be dangerous because what our mind does is to act like a worried mother. What do you do when you have a worried mother? God forbid you would say, oh, leave me alone. I know what to do. Don't tell me what to do. When you reject what your mother says, when you reject what your mind says, it's going to be even more powerful. The grip on your mind is going to be so strong from the fear that you will be stuck, you'll be blocked, and you won't be able to make any step ahead. However, if you tell your mother, and this is a wonderful metaphor that I want you to keep on using, if you tell your mother, Mom, you're right, this could be dangerous. Maybe I haven't done this change before. Maybe I'm on the verge of doing something a bit risky in business. However, let me do this and deal with the consequences later, meaning that I am going to be okay no matter what decision I take, because if I make a mistake, I either win or I either win even better because I get to learn from my mistakes. One of the best things that you can do is to start doing things, learn from them later on. Don't overthink because the lessons that you get are the most amazing. We always move ahead by making mistake after mistake after mistake. This is the beauty of how our mind works. And of course, I know mistakes hurt. Failure is something that we were taught by society, by our parents, to stay away from it. Maybe, keep it safe. Don't risk anything. But does that give you the fulfillment in your life, in your business, in your professional life that you want? No, it doesn't. So, us making mistakes and being okay with making mistakes, learning amazing lessons from these mistakes, this is what we need to work on every single day. And I'm here to tell you in a very honest way that it takes time. It's going to take maybe a few good weeks until you put in practice small steps, as I'm going to show you very shortly now, that your mind is going to get used to doing these by default. However, it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes perseverance. Take this from someone that had huge issues with their ego, because you could not tell me anything. When I was very young, I thought I knew it all. But when you think that you know it all, when you think that you have everything figured out, that's when life comes to give you another important lesson, to be maybe a bit more humble and to be kind with yourself. A bit about meta health and fear and neurolinguistic programming. Even Einstein said that the way that our body works, we have neuro small particles that we have in our brains in every part of our body. That's why when we are stressed, when we are very fearful, when we get overwhelmed, maybe we have a lot of anxiety, our body tends to tense so much that disease starts to create in our system. What we want to do is to understand that we are built on fear. Maybe this is something new. I'll be looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this, because fear is the origin of our human being. Our design, our entire system is created to be alive. As I was telling you earlier, we are meant to live, not to thrive. Therefore, even the slightest change can be seen as great potential danger. What we need to do every single time that we are about to do something that's a bit different is to understand that our system is going to say, no, stop. You don't want to do this. If you remember, maybe you have had some thoughts lately, something negative about your job that escalated in your mind to some Hollywood movie horror scenarios that you had to stop yourself after a few minutes thinking that, hey, it can't be that bad. Maybe you yourself got a bit amazed on how your mind can fabricate all sorts of things. And remember one important thing about your health. When our mind chooses to create a certain disease because we could be fearful, we have this problem of expressing ourselves. And I am in Romania, where we had communism up until 30 years ago, which you can still feel here. A bit of censorship is still felt in Romania. I was not allowed to express myself. So, as a consequence, I got a heart disease, which my system again chose to create. It created this disease because it thought that this would be the best version for me, instead of me finding ways to express myself. Our body is amazing. Its intelligence is surreal. However, it's also very simple. You always need to find ways to express yourself and to let it all out. Because then we have the conflict. This is when you want one thing, but then you do something different because fear keeps you playing it safe. Maybe you are afraid of what people think. I stayed at my job 8 years extra than I had wanted, which created other diseases in my body about 10 years ago. I had lumps in my throat, lumps in my breasts. My skin was erupting with all sorts of issues. It was red. It was aggravating each day because, again, my body chose the most simple way created the disease based on fear instead of me looking for help, because most of the times, as I said earlier, we don't know it all. We need to make sure that our inner dialogue is giving us the best friendship with ourselves. You need to start being your number one friend and supporter, because otherwise, when you resist yourself, when you think that I'm not good enough, I am afraid that I'm going to fail, I'm afraid that I'm going to make mistakes, we only get to be the victim of our mind. Now, what happens when we start to rationalize fear? This is a concept that I love. This means that we are getting towards the end of our presentation today, because what we need to do is to start asking ourselves really, really simple questions. And you may think, Roxana, this is too simple. It cannot work. I'm here to simplify everything that our mindset is all about when it comes to fear. Because the more simple the tool, the more simple the question, the easier it is for you to put it in practice. Just imagine this. You are frustrated, you are overwhelmed, you have accumulated so much anxiety. Maybe you have had panic attacks. Do you need something complex to get you out of that position? No, you need something very simple. So I would love it. I don't know, take a photo, write this down, and please start using this after we are done with our presentation, because it's so effective, you will not believe it. The first question: why do I feel this? Why am I afraid? Why do I feel fear? Why do I feel stressed? And what you need to do next is to make sure that you have a pen and a piece of paper. Anything will do. I have here a notebook. I sometimes use my phone. I have sticky notes. It's really important that you write it down with a pen. If you don't have it handy, a phone may help. You can use drafts or notes or whatever app you want, but make sure that you take the problem from your head, put it down on a piece of paper. What's more effective is that you use your hands, which are strictly connected to your brain, which helps you detense and release the problem even more. Another great question is this one: what can I do now despite fear? This what, you can see it here, it's underlined. What shows you the solution. Whenever you start asking these questions that start with why, with what, or with how, because we have the third question: how can I do things better next time? Your mind pauses, gets out of the subconscious mind, leaves the emotions behind, and gets you looking for solutions, because these questions are meant to get you out from the back of your mind into your rational mind. Because, my fearless friends, when you are rational, there's no more fear. Fear actually transforms in a second in solutions. So make sure you always put it down on a piece of paper. Again, so important to write it down. When you see it black on white, you'll understand, wow, was this what I was afraid of? You'll see things from a completely new perspective, because your mind is going to be empty of the problem. When you look at something from a whole new angle, you can find at least 5 solutions to any problem. And it's absolutely fascinating the way that our mind works. Make sure that you also draw things on a piece of paper. You could be very, very anxious. You could be before having a presentation or before giving an important speech in front of a big audience. What I like to do is to just, again, get the pen and a piece of paper and just have some lines. Do some lines, do some small lines, maybe some circles, something really simple that's going to get you to be present again. And one of the easiest things of them all, I hope I still have a minute, it's to force a smile, which means that you are going to take your index fingers, and you'll see what I mean. You just need to take the corners of your mouth and basically lift them up as you would be smiling. This is going to translate to your brain the fact that you are safe. Your brain is going to think, oh, Jiri is smiling, Thomas is smiling. Your brain will not know that you have forced the smile because it has this muscle memory. When you are safe, your brain is going to think, well, if Jiri is smiling, it means that he is not in danger. It means that he shouldn't be afraid. When you smile, of course, the brain recognizes that you feel good. Things are great, nothing is wrong. So you are going to start lowering your stress levels to some amazing extent. Put this in practice as well because you'll be amazed on how this is going to change your entire mood completely. Around anxiety, you always need to put yourself first. As I was telling you earlier, be kind with yourself, be understanding, and be forgiving. Give yourself a lot of time and make sure that you never doubt your own worth because it's only you and you. So you need to be your number one friend and ally. And as I said here, it's all within. There's nothing out there. And when you start accepting yourself, and maybe you're in a position where you think, well, loving myself, Roxana, this is maybe a bit too much. I am just beginning to understand how my mind works. I don't want to talk about loving myself. This is going to come in a few months. It depends on where you are around your fears and around your emotions. But again, please be patient with yourself. Please make sure that you give yourself time to process and time to heal. I have some free resources for you if you want to learn more. I have a podcast, Stories About Fear. You can find it on my website. And you have me everywhere on social media. I post daily. I'm on YouTube. And if you want to learn a bit more about how the mind works, I have a free exercise on my website on roxanapopet.com. It's a book that I wrote where you have an exercise showing you how to keep your fear under control through a really, really playful, fun exercise. Something that, Jiri, you can maybe send to your nephews as well. If you have any questions, I'll be very happy to answer them.